The Mockery ambassador, Elena Vasquez, pressed her palm against the cool metal wall of the transport shuttle as it approached Nexus Prime Station. Through the reinforced viewport, she could see the massive structure growing larger with each passing moment. The station was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, with dozens of docking arms extending outward like the legs of some cosmic spider. Each arm represented a different member species of the Galactic Council, and Elena knew that humanity was about to be judged by beings who had traveled the stars for millennia, while humans were still learning to make fire. The shuttle pilot, a nervous young man named David Park, called back from the cockpit. Ambassador, we're being directed to docking bay 847. That's in the outer ring, pretty far from the main council chambers. Elena nodded, unsurprised. She had expected humanity to be treated as second class from the moment they arrived. What the aliens didn't know was that she had come prepared for exactly this kind of reception. As the shuttle docked with a slight shudder, Elena straightened her formal blue diplomatic uniform and checked the small communication device hidden in her sleeve. Admiral Marcus Chun had given it to her personally before she left Earth, along with very specific instructions. Use it only when things look hopeless, he had said. Trust me, Elena, we're not as helpless as we appear. A docking bay was dimly lit and smelled of ozone and recycled air. A delegation of 3 aliens waited for her as she stepped off the shuttle. The leader was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Its species were called the Viridians, and they served as administrators for the council. Behind it stood 2 guards, hulking creatures with gray scales and glowing red eyes. Elena recognized them as Dominion soldiers, the military force that kept order in council space. Ambassador Vasquez, the Viridian said in accented English, I am Administrator Kelwin. The council will see you shortly, but I must warn you that the mood is not favorable toward your species. Elena smiled politely. I appreciate the warning, Administrator. May I ask why? Kelwin's expression, if it could be called that, seemed almost pitying. Your technology assessments were quite disappointing. The Council questions whether humanity is ready for galactic citizenship. They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Elena saw dozens of different alien species going about their business, some floating, others walking on multiple legs, a few that seemed to phase in and out of visible light. None of them paid attention to the human delegation. She might as well have been invisible. The council chamber was breathtaking in its scope. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above, and tiered seating surrounded a central speaking platform. In concentric circles, each section was designed for different alien physiologies, with some areas filled with water, others with different atmospheric mixes, and some that seemed to exist in a different phase of matter entirely. Elena counted at least 50 different species represented, though she knew there were more than 200 members of the Galactic Council. As she was led to the speaking platform, conversations stopped and hundreds of alien eyes turned toward her. The silence was deafening. Then, from somewhere in the upper tiers, came a sound that could only be described as laughter. Soon, others joined in, creating a cacophony of alien amusement that echoed through the chamber. High Magistrate Quill, an insectoid creature with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked when it spoke, called for order. We are here to evaluate humanity's application for membership in the Galactic Council, it announced, its voice amplified throughout the chamber. The preliminary reports are most concerning. Overlord Zarthan of the Dominion Coalition stood up in his section. The reptilian being was massive, easily 8 feet tall, with scales that seemed to absorb light and eyes like burning coals. Magistrate, I have reviewed the human technology assessments. Their fastest ships cannot exceed 15% of light speed. Their weapons are chemical-based projectiles. Their defensive systems consist of metal plates. How can such a primitive species be considered? For membership? More laughter filled the chamber. Elena felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but she forced herself to remain calm. This was exactly what Admiral Chun had predicted would happen. "If I may respond," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "By all means," Zarthan replied with obvious amusement. "Enlighten us about humanity's great achievements." The sarcasm in his voice was unmistakable. Elena took a deep breath. "Humanity may not have the fastest ships or the most advanced weapons, but we have something that many species seem to have forgotten." She paused, looking around the chamber. "We have the will to fight for our freedom." This statement was met with more laughter. A floating jellyfish-like creature called out, "Fighting spirit means nothing against plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes." A crystalline being added, "Your species hasn't even mastered fusion properly. You still burn fossil fuels on your home planet." Magistrate Quill raised a clawed hand for silence. "The Council has prepared terms for humanity's provisional membership. You will surrender all military vessels to Dominion oversight. Your home system will be placed under Council protection. Human colonies will be limited to 3 worlds, all within designated sectors. In exchange, you will receive protection and access to limited Council technologies." Elena felt her heart sink, but she had expected something like this. And if humanity refuses these terms? Overlord Zarthan's laugh was like grinding stone. "Then you will be classified as a rogue species and dealt with accordingly. My fleet consists of 12,000 warships, Ambassador. Your entire species has perhaps a few hundred crewed vessels. The mathematics are quite simple." The chamber erupted in agreement. Aliens from dozens of species voiced their support for the harsh terms. Elena heard phrases in various languages that clearly translated to things like primitives, barely sentient, and know their place. She closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of Earth, of the billions of humans who are counting on her too. Secure their future among the stars. When she opened her eyes, her resolve had hardened. She reached into her sleeve and activated the communication device. The signal would take several hours to reach its destination, but Admiral Chun had assured her that everything was already in motion. "Magistrate Quill," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her, "I request a recess to consider these terms." "Granted," Quill replied. "You have 6 standard hours to make your decision. After that, the Council votes." As Elena was escorted from the chamber, she heard Zarthan addressing the other Council members. "This is a formality. They have no choice. By tomorrow, humanity will know its place in the Galactic Order." Back in her assigned quarters, Elena sat by the small viewport and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of space, Admiral Chun was putting the final pieces of humanity's greatest secret into motion. For 5 years, while the Council had been evaluating humanity's primitive technology, Earth scientists and engineers had been working on something that would change everything. The project had been called Prometheus, after the mythological figure who stole fire from the gods. It was hidden in the asteroid belt, far from prying alien sensors, and only a handful of humans knew it existed. Elena had been briefed on its capabilities, and even she had trouble believing what humanity had accomplished in such a short time. Her door chimed, and Administrator Kelwin entered with 2 Dominion guards. "Ambassador, Overlord Zarthan wishes to speak with you privately. He believes he can offer better terms than the Council's official proposal." Elena nodded and followed them through the station's corridors to a secured meeting room. Zarthan was Zarthan, waiting for her, his massive form dominating the space. Without his ceremonial armor, he looked even more intimidating. "Sit," he commanded, gesturing to a chair that had been sized for humans. Elena remained standing. "I prefer to stand," Think. You? Asterisk. The reptilian overlord studied her with his burning eyes. You have courage, I will give you that. But courage without power is meaningless. I am prepared to offer humanity a better arrangement than the Council's terms. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. Serve the Dominion directly. Your people will have more freedom, better worlds, access to our technology. All I ask in return is complete loyalty. Elena met his gaze without flinching. And if I refuse? Zarthan's smile revealed rows of sharp teeth. Then when the Council votes tomorrow, I will ensure that humanity's application is rejected entirely. My fleet will blockade your solar system. Your species will never leave Earth again. For a moment, Elena allowed fear to show on her face. Let him think he had won. I need time to consider this offer, she said quietly. Zarthan leaned back. Satisfied. Of course, you have until tomorrow's vote. Choose wisely, Ambassador. This is the best offer your species will ever receive. As Elena was escorted back to her quarters, she activated her communication device one more time. This signal was different. A short burst that would reach its destination much faster. In the outer rim of the star system, hidden ships began to move. The countdown had begun. Asterisk, the revelation Elena Vasquez stood at the viewport in her quarters, watching the stars as she had done for hours. The 6-hour recess was almost over, and soon she would have to return to the council chamber to deliver humanity's answer to their ultimatum. What the aliens didn't know was that humanity's real answer was already on its way. Her door chimed. And Administrator Kelwin entered looking more nervous than usual. Ambassador, there's been an unusual development. Our long-range sensors are detecting some kind of spatial disturbance near the system's edge. The Dominion fleet has gone to high alert. Elena turned from the viewport, doing her best to look concerned rather than pleased. What kind of disturbance? Kelwin's forearms moved in. What Elena had learned was an expression of uncertainty. Unknown. The readings don't match any known phenomenon. Overlord Zarthan has demanded that you come to the council chamber immediately. Elena nodded. Of course, lead the way. The council chamber was buzzing with activity when they arrived. Aliens were talking rapidly in dozens of languages, and several holographic displays showed sensor readings from around the system. Elena could see the concern on every face, regardless of species. Whatever was happening, it had them all worried. Overlord. Zarthan was standing at the center of the chamber, his scaled form radiating barely controlled anger. Ambassador Vasquez, our sensors are detecting multiple contacts approaching this system. They appear to be ships, but they're using some kind of stealth technology that interferes with our scans. What do you know about this? Elena allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps you should ask your sensors again, Overlord. I believe you'll find the situation has changed. As if on cue, every alarm in the station began blaring. The holographic displays flickered and updated, showing dozens of contacts suddenly appearing throughout the system. They had materialized from nowhere, as if space itself had given birth to them. High Magistrate Quill's compound eyes focused on the displays. This is impossible. No ship can mask its approach so completely. One of the Dominion technicians called out, "Sir, we're getting energy readings unlike anything in our database. These ships are using technology we don't recognize." Elena stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Members of the Galactic Council, I present to you the true fleet of humanity." The main display zoomed in on one of the approaching vessels, and gasps echoed throughout the chamber. The ship was sleek and elegant, its hull seeming to bend light around it. It moved with impossible grace, shifting direction without visible thrust. Captain Sarah Mitchell's face appeared on the communication screen. She was a woman in her 40s, with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. This is Captain Mitchell of the UES Prometheus. Nexus Prime Station. We are here to escort Ambassador Vasquez home and to demonstrate humanity's true capabilities. Overlord Zarthan's voice was a low growl. This is a trick. Humans don't possess such technology. Captain Mitchell smiled. Would you like a demonstration, Overlord? I believe your fleet moved to intercept us about an hour ago. The display switched to show a section of space where the Dominion fleet had deployed. Elena counted at least 200 warships, the pride of the most powerful military force in the galaxy. They were arranged in perfect battle formation, weapons charged and ready. Then, without warning, half of them simply stopped working. Admiral Corvin of the Dominion fleet appeared on screen, his reptilian features twisted with confusion and rage. All ships, report status. The responses came back in a flood of panicked voices. Weapons offline. Engines not responding. We're dead in space. Captain Mitchell's voice was calm and professional. Those ships are experiencing a temporary shutdown of their neural networks. Our quantum disruptors can selectively target cybernetic systems without causing permanent damage. The crews are unharmed, but their ships will be inoperable for approximately 6 hours. The council chamber had fallen completely silent. Elena looked around at the alien faces and saw something she had never expected to see: fear. These beings, who had ruled the galaxy for millennia, were suddenly faced with technology they couldn't understand or counter. High Magistrate Quill found its voice first. How is this possible? Our intelligence reports showed that humanity possessed only primitive technology. Elena walked to the center of the speaking platform. Your intelligence was correct about our public technology. What you didn't know about was Project Prometheus. Asterisk, she gestured to the displays showing the human fleet. For 5 years, while you were evaluating our chemical rockets and metal bullets, our best scientists were working on something else entirely. We studied every piece of alien technology we could get our hands on. We analyzed your weaknesses, your blind spots, your overconfidence. Admiral Marcus Chun's image appeared on the screen next to Captain Mitchell. The elderly human looked like someone's grandfather, with kind eyes and gray hair, but Elena knew he was one of the most brilliant military minds in human history. Members of the Galactic Council, humanity does not seek conflict. We seek partnership, but we will not accept slavery. Overlord Zarthan stepped forward, his rage evident. You dare threaten the Galactic Council? My remaining ships will crush your pathetic fleet. Admiral Chun nodded politely. You're welcome to try, Overlord. Captain Mitchell, please show them why that would be inadvisable. On the display, one of the human ships moved toward a Dominion battlecruiser that was still operational. The alien ship fired everything it had: plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, particle beams that could crack a planet's crust. The weapons struck the human vessel directly, energy readings off the charts. When the light faded, the human ship was completely undamaged. Adaptive shielding, Captain Mitchell explained. Our defensive systems analyze incoming attacks and adjust their properties in real time. Energy weapons are absorbed and converted to power our own systems. Kinetic attacks are deflected by gravitational manipulation. The human ship fired a single shot in return. The Dominion battlecruiser, a vessel that had conquered star systems, was sliced in half as cleanly as if it were made of paper. The silence in the council chamber was deafening. Elena could hear her own heartbeat. Finally, a voice spoke from the upper tiers. It was Counselor Thess of the Aquatic Federation, a species known for their wisdom and neutrality. Ambassador Vasquez, what does humanity want? Elena smiled. The same thing we've always wanted, Counselor. To be treated as equals, to have a voice in galactic affairs, to be free to explore the stars and make our own choices. She looked around the chamber. We didn't develop this technology to conquer. anyone. We developed it to ensure that no one could conquer us. High Magistrate Quill's mandibles clicked nervously. Your terms? Admiral Chun answered from the screen. Full membership in the Galactic Council with all rights and privileges. Recognition of human sovereignty over our current territories and colonies. An end to all attempts to limit human expansion or development. And most importantly, mutual respect. Overlord Zarthan's voice was barely controlled. And if we refuse? Captain Mitchell answered this time. Then we leave. Humanity will chart its own course among the stars. But we will remember who our friends were and who tried to enslave us. The implication was clear. With their advanced technology, humans could become either valuable allies or dangerous enemies. Counselor Thess spoke again. I move that we vote immediately on humanity's full membership in the Galactic Council. The vote was swift and unanimous. Even Overlord Zarthan, faced with the reality of humanity's hidden strength, voted in favor. As the session ended, Alina felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Humanity had won not through aggression, but through preparation, intelligence, and the courage to stand up for themselves. The aliens who had mocked them hours earlier now looked at her with respect and no small amount of wariness. Administrator Kelwyn approached as she gathered her things. Ambassador, how did your species develop such advanced technology so quickly? Elena smiled. The same way we've solved every problem we've ever faced, Administrator. By working together, thinking creatively, and never giving up. As her shuttle prepared to depart Nexus Prime Station, Elena looked back at the massive structure. One more time. When she had arrived, humanity had been seen as primitive savages barely worthy of notice. Now they were equal partners in the galaxy's governing body, respected and feared in equal measure. The stars seemed brighter as they headed home to Earth, carrying news of humanity's triumph. In the depths of space, the Prometheus fleet maintained its watch, ready to defend human freedom against anyone who might threaten it. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate the ingenuity, determination, and fighting spirit of humanity. The age of human expansion had begun.